So today we talk about Samadhi, and it is not such an easy subject. When we are talking about pranayam, then I can say, okay, stop breathing for a while, and so you can do that and you can experience it, and we can talk about that experience. And this way, it is more concrete. Or we can talk about asana, and I can show how to sit in a particular posture, and everybody can try it. So this is different. When I talk about anger, then I think everybody has some experience. But in case of Samadhi, few people have the experience. So that makes it more difficult. Samadhi means a very deep state of meditation in which you are no longer conscious about yourself in the sense of your ego. You have no more name, you have no more relationships, you have no more jobs, you have no more yesterday and no more tomorrow. All that is gone. So you are entirely merged in the subconscious mind. Your conscious mind has stopped. And this is a very particular state, which one can say is a central objective in yoga. And actually not only in yoga, but in all spiritual traditions, you will find something which could be called Samadhi or trance, absorption. So it is a very mystical thing, very mysterious state of mind, and to talk about it is actually quite useless. Now, of course, that is true for most things. Right? I mean, why talk about love if you don't feel it? And if you feel it, what's the use to talk about? So, same way here in Samadhi, it's not much use to talk about it if you don't have the experience. And once you've had the experience, then definitely you will not feel like talking about it. That is quite unnatural to talk about it, because you know that whatever you say about it somehow makes it less. Because Samadhi is entirely beyond words. Samadhi is in a place where there is no language, where there are no more concepts. So, very difficult there to talk about it. But still, we can talk about it, and it makes a little bit sense. For the simple reason that you're anyhow going to think about it. Whenever you're going to meditate in a little bit more serious fashion, you're going to start having certain experiences that are maybe the start of Samadhi, or maybe more than that, and then at least afterwards you're going to think about it. Hopefully not while you are in Samadhi, because then you will drop out, but afterwards you will think about it. And since it is a very mysterious thing, it can be relatively confusing, and you may think maybe you had some experience there and you need to work with it, while that may be not the case at all. Maybe it's just better to forget about it. So in that way, there are some things that I can explain which can be helpful, but which should be, after today, largely forgotten. You should not think too much anymore about this class after today. Whenever this information becomes valuable to you, then it will come back out of your subconscious mind, and you will be able to use that information. You will maybe not remember it coming from this class, but somehow the answer then will come to you. And so that's the use or the purpose of this class. But if you are too much thinking about this class while trying to meditate, then this is definitely going to be very negative. Samadhi is not something that can be done. Samadhi is not something which requires a particular technique. So it is something which happens. And the only thing that actually has to be done is to let it happen. But if you are waiting for it, because you have some idea about it from this class, then it will not happen. It has to happen like a little bit by accident. So, in that way, most of it should be forgotten. Until then, it becomes maybe useful at some time. So, this class, more than ever, it is advisable to just listen with an open mind, an egoless kind of listening, not too much interpreting it, not too much even thinking about it, just absorbing the information and forgetting about it. And especially any questions about have I already experienced Samadhi or something like that are quite irrelevant questions. The experience itself is not really what matters, it is the result of it, and that result will be always clear. There will be no doubt about it. How we get there, what really happens there, nobody can really say, and it is also quite different, I think, from one person to another. And for the same person, even from one samadhi to another, there can be really big differences. So, this is very personal. But certainly, Samadhi is like the core of yoga technique. It's the central focus point, and a lot of things in yoga actually aim at achieving Samadhi. And this is very clear also in the 8 limbs or steps of Ashtanga Yoga, where you start with Yama and Niyama, things that you do or don't do in your life. You start with asana, developing a comfortable posture. You start with pranayam, reducing your breath. You start with pratyahar, going more inside, purifying the senses. And then you go into dharan, the concentration exercise, which then leads you to dhyana, when this concentration, this focus actually becomes stable. And then you just have to wait until the last step comes, which is samadhi. And to call samadhi the last step is not entirely correct, because after you come out of your samadhi, again you start with life. So again there is yama and niyama. And the main impact of your samadhi will be in yama and niyama. If quite naturally you become non-violent and honest and all these things which are described there, then you will know that your meditation has made some change, some transformation inside of you, which makes you respond differently, which makes you react differently, which makes you think and feel differently. And that will express itself in yama and niyama. So it's a continuous circular movement actually through these steps, which always brings you further. And the main thing that happens in samadhi is the removal of blockages that are there in your subconscious mind. Stored deep inside, things from this life, things from past lives, which really make you as you are today. We have a feeling usually that whatever we think or say or do is something we do consciously. But once you a little bit observe yourself, you will find that this is not true. Most of your thoughts, they come to you. You have no control over them. And from thoughts very easily come talks and actions. So also those you have a little bit more control, of course, but also there your subconscious mind will continuously feed you with impulses, subconscious impulses, which leads then to relatively conscious thoughts and actions. So there are many blockages there, many desires, fears, old anger, whatever, all things that need to be cleaned out. And that is the only true evolution that as a human being you can make. If you are doing, let's say, pranayama, calming down the breath, then definitely afterwards you will feel a lot more calm. but half an hour later this calmness may already be gone. This is very fleeting effect. And the same with meditation. If it doesn't take you as far as Samadhi, then there will be some effect. This impact may last a bit longer even than with pranayama. But after a relatively short time, again it will go. Whatever insight you have in the whole universe and the self and all these things, at one moment may be gone the next moment. So, all those things are actually not very relevant, except that they lead you up to the point where you can become sufficiently quiet to dive into your subconscious mind and there start removing certain things which stop you from being who you want to be. Everybody who is in yoga has some idea about how they want to be and has understood that it's not so easy to be who you want to be, to do what you want to do, to say what you want to say and to think what you want to think. All the time we are like having a little quarrel with ourselves. So to stop this quarrel, which is basically a quarrel between our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, we have to remove some blockages there. And that is what happens in Samadhi. Not only in Samadhi, but the most rapidly, the most basically, and the most thoroughly, it can happen in Samadhi. Part of it also just happens in life. Certain experiences that you have in life, certain things that you do in life, certain fears that you overcome in your life, for example, also can remove these blockages. So, this is why Samadhi is really very important, and generally speaking, in yoga and in spirituality, what attracts many people also are all these mystical powers. Mystical powers of mind reading or whatever flying around. Well, also these we can say that they are all directly related to Samadhi. It is only in Samadhi that things like this can be learned or quite naturally developed by themselves. So also if you are more interested in that side of the story, then Samadhi is really important. And to reach the end point of yoga, which is supposed to be named enlightenment, also Samadhi is, you could say, a requirement. Even if it is not such a consciously reached Samadhi as it is described by Patanjali in Ashtanga Yoga, even if it is something which maybe just happens without much technique being used, just because the person is ready for it, then still that person will go into a state, a mystical state, a state of complete absorption, where things will happen. And the result will be a more spiritual, holy person, or however you call it, which astonishes people around him or her by the way he behaves and the things he can do. So, in that way, Samadhi is very, very essential. However, I don't really want to frustrate you with this talk, because it's a little bit like frustrating to hear about something like that. Yes, it can be frustrating. So let me just say, don't be frustrated. It is there for everybody, and everybody can reach it. It's actually not all that difficult. But okay, it requires some effort. It requires some effort, and it most of all also requires time. Effort definitely is not the only thing that matters. A certain level of peace must already be there, and you cannot blame yourself for a lack of peace. This is something which you are learning, and at some point it will come, and it will be there sufficiently for you to let go and to really go into this very deep meditation state. So don't be frustrated whether you are deciding to meditate for 15 minutes or for 15 days or for 15 weeks. It does not matter. We are all on the same path, and ultimately there is no escape from this path, and whatever step you can take in the right direction is good. So just accept that and relax and enjoy the moment. And that's the best way to actually get anywhere. Any stress, any frustration, any dissatisfaction with yourself in this game just stops you from moving forward just 1 millimeter. So, don't. Patanjali explains quite clearly in his famous Yoga Sutras that dharana, dhyana and samadhi are actually one process. Dharana means that you are focusing on just one thing. Maybe this is a mantra, or maybe this is something else. This does not really matter. But only one thing is there in dharana. All kinds of meditation which involve different things, a sequence of different things like maybe the chakras or whichever, many mantras or something, they are coming before dharana. They are actually more belonging to pratyahara. But so in dharana you were focused only on one thing. But this is not really in the beginning working. And when I say in the beginning, I mean this is very much true, of course, if it's the first time that you are trying it. That instead of just thinking A, which is the idea, that you will be thinking A, B, C, A, B, D, C, and this is how it will go. And even for somebody with more experience in meditation, this may still come. Mind requires a little moment to calm down. Anyhow, it takes quite a while, I think, before you can just sit down and say Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Nothing comes in between. This is not such an easy thing to achieve. But to achieve it after a little moment, after some time, going from dharana to dhyana, where only A is there, or the mantra is there, or the object is there, this is not so difficult. This requires a little bit of willpower. You have to want to do this. Otherwise, of course, how can it work? But it is just something you do. But truly, in that state, there is not only the mantra, because you are also still there. So it is actually I, A. You are continuously aware that you are focusing on this object, so you are making this effort and you are aware of it, and you are also a little bit like watching whether it is going well or not. And so when it is not going very well, when some other thought comes in between, you intervene and you again bring yourself to this object, but truly you are still there. So this is the phase of dhyana. And then at some moment, this I, which is meditating, disappears. You are no longer aware that you are doing that. It just happens. The mantra will continue by itself, and you are not putting any more effort into it. This is when Samadhi starts. So, the reason for this is actually that this I, this ego, which relates to your life, is just a concept. It is just an idea, and to it are attached many other ideas, like your job and relationship and your age and your history and your plans for the future and all these things. And at the center there is the idea, I. So if for a long time all these concepts are no longer thought about, because all you are thinking about is, for example, Om Namah Shivaya, then suddenly this one person in the middle of all these ideas no longer can continue to exist and disappears. So this is what happens. And this is basically how Patanjali describes it although I must say that some other scriptures have a little bit other definitions of these phases. And so you might read about it and get a little confused. But it's easy to understand if you see that Patanjali is describing these states at the moment where they begin. So he says dharana starts with trying to focus on something. Dhyana starts with this when this focus is really stable. And samadhi starts when the one who tries to focus no longer is there and the focus just is there. So this is one way to see it, but you can also see it in a different way. You can also say, oh, dhyana, meditation, only starts when that person disappears. So this is the end point of dhyana, is the beginning of samadhi. So in that way, a little confusion is there, but I believe the way Patanjali describes it is most easy to understand, especially when one understands that this disappearing of individual consciousness is just the beginning of a quite long process, which is called samadhi. So this is the beginning, and then the end of samadhi also has a name called moksha or enlightenment. So this is the most easy way, I think, to understand. Now, this trance actually exists also in different ways. And in scripture, it is described as tamasic samadhi, rajasic samadhi, and sattvic samadhi. For example, a person who is extremely drunk also no longer remembers who he is. You ask his name and you say, oh, I don't know. Do you have a car? Oh, I don't know. This is also some kind of samadhi called tamasic samadhi. So let's say quite stupid samadhi. And also, in fact, some scriptures will say deep sleep is a kind of tamasic samadhi. And of course, many other drug-induced states are tamasic samadhi, and also a coma is the tamasic samadhi. Right? So, and then you have the rajasic samadhi, which is quite well known in, let's say, mystical circles, where people go in a trance, dancing to music or something, or by, loudly repeating some mantra or doing some other thing, maybe causing a lot of pain to themselves or some things like that. So this is a very rajasic samadhi. Also there is a temporary disappearance of the conscious mind and merging with the subconscious mind. The only difference is that there is no shanta. There is no inner peace at that moment. There is actually a lot of thing going on, and this may help, for example, even to have some clairvoyance, to develop some powers, to, merge in the subconscious mind. But this is not the same thing as yogic samadhi, which is a samadhi in which peace is the central objective and the central state of mind. And so this brings results which are very, very different. So, temporarily in samadhi, you are without ego. But of course, this is not yet enlightenment. Enlightenment means to be without ego indefinitely. So, samadhi is a little taste of enlightenment. And truly, that is what it is. For a while, you have a similar experience as a person who is enlightened. But then, at some point, whatever remains of your ego in your subconscious mind will again take away this experience and bring you back to this world, and you will have changed, but not completely. So then more work is required afterwards. Samadhi actually has 3 parts. Sam means together, means everything together. Dhi means to know or to see, to witness. Like in dhyana also, there also we have it. and A points to endlessness. So Samadhi means that everything comes together in an endless way. Everything is known as one. Everything becomes one together in an endless way. So the state of Samadhi does include a little bit of time. And definitely the experience of timelessness is a good indicator of it. It's very typical that a person who comes out of Samadhi believes that he has been meditating only for a short time. Maybe he thinks only 10 minutes he was sitting there. But when he looks at the clock, he finds, oh, it was 3 hours. This is very typical. In this state, really, time stops. Because thought stops. You may have experienced, certainly, that if you're having a lot of fun, then time moves very quickly. And if you're very bored and not having a good time, then time moves very slowly. This is because when you are not having a good time, you are more thinking. So then more time is created, in a way, subjectively for you. And if you are having a good time, then you're not thinking so much. And then time goes very fast. So in Samadhi, you're having such a good time and you're thinking not at all. So time moves very fast. 10 minutes pass in your mind. Actually 3 hours have gone in real time. So then if this becomes like a regular hobby, you need maybe to put an alarm clock if you have some other obligations also. So. And this Samadhi, which means everything becomes one, is often explained as the witness, the witnessing, and that which is witnessed become one. So truly there is still a witness. There is still something being witnessed, which is then the mantra or whatever object of meditation there is. And so this witnessing also is still going on. But there is no longer any difference experience between these three. You are becoming the mantra. You are becoming the repetition of the mantra or the chanting of the mantra inside of you. You are one with it. And you are no longer identified with your life and all these things. So another way to say it, that is the subject and the object merging. You are merging into your object. You are diving into the mantra. You are completely disappearing into this mantra. This is what Samadhi is. And this is also called the fourth state of consciousness. There is the waking state, there is the dream state, there is a state of deep sleep, and then there is Samadhi, the fourth state. There are 4 ways consciousness can be, and so this is really seen as a different thing. And it definitely is different from the dream state and from deep sleep state. Because in deep sleep, you are not conscious. From your deep sleep, you are not remembering anything at all. While from Samadhi, you will have memory afterwards. Some of those experiences you will remember. So this is a very different thing. And it is also different from the dream state because it is very calm and because it is not so visual. Visuals can come, but it is not visual like a dream. I will explain a little bit further. Yet another way to explain it is to say that in yoga and meditation, first we are doing a lot of effort to bring the energy upwards to the 6th chakra. That requires some work. And then once we reach 6th chakra, then we still have to go from 6 to 7 chakra. And that is Samadhi. That happens in Samadhi As I said, some things in life also certainly may have an impact there, but that is basically what happens in Samadhi. And this is quite a long path. Actually quite a lot longer than the path from the first to the sixth chakra, which can be learned quite quickly. If a person sets his mind to it, very easily he can get there. But then to clean up from here to there, to bring the energy really there, that can take a very long time, and for most people it takes many lifetimes. So don't be in a hurry. Don't worry, it will just happen bit by bit. And yeah, I like always the comparison to a house where people have lots of stuff, and some of the stuff they can't handle, and they put it in the cellar. Instead of really getting rid of it and recycling it properly, they just throw it in the cellar. And so there's lots of junk in our cellar. And that's, what we are doing. A lot of things that we can't handle in our life, we just push it back in our subconscious mind and try to forget about it, and it will still affect us. We will certainly not be rid of it. The smell from the cellar will still, be in our house now and then, you will smell it, but, you have the feeling you got rid of it. So Samadhi is where you start, cleaning out this cellar. And as I said, there can be a lot of junk there, so just take some time to clean it out. And you might actually also find very beautiful things in that cellar, some old things which are really dear to you and you forgot about it, and you will also find them. So it's not only like unpleasant things you will find in your subconscious mind. There's a lot of nice memories there. There's a lot of desires there, loves, attachments, things there, which, you can just remove after a while. So this describes a little bit better what is Samadhi. And then, of course, the question is how to do it. I said it before, there is no doing it. The doer cannot drop the doer. And that is what needs to happen. The one who is doing the meditation has to disappear. The one who is trying has to disappear. So you cannot do that. In that way, be relaxed about it. It's not really your problem. The only thing you have to be able to do is to let go. And before that, then you need a little bit of doing. You need some meditation. You need some focus. But even there, too much willpower should not be used. Maybe in the very beginning when you are starting to meditate, a little bit like being serious about it is required. But after a while, not. After a while, your focus should be soft. Like you are holding the mantra like this. Not like that. This will never work. As long as you are always stressfully trying to focus on the mantra, Samadhi cannot come. You have to be relaxed about it. You have to hold the mantra very, very carefully, very subtly, and then it may happen. Another thing that affects it is your fear to surrender control. This is in the beginning, when you can have some little taste of Samadhi, few seconds that you are gone, and then you realize what happened, and this may feel very strange and uncomfortable, that you are no longer in control. But that is something you have to accept. You have to surrender to your higher self. All this trying to control things through your mind, anyhow, we know quite well, has very little use. Continuously we are trying to do that and trying to figure out everything, and we think we can solve every problem by thinking about it. But actually by now we should know that this is very limited what we can do there. Most problems can much more easily be solved by not thinking. So here is what you are, when you are learning that, you have to let go of control. You have to trust. So some faith must be there. Some faith in this method. Some faith in maybe the people that have gone on this path before you. Some faith also in that which awaits you there. Some faith in God or the higher self or whichever you want to name it. Some faith in the divine. Some faith in the people that tell you, like I am now telling you, that Samadhi is a good way to go. So you have to let go. You have to be willing to let go. Soften your focus, but keep it, keep it, keep it. And whenever you feel a little bit of this, maybe you could call it a vagueness, a little cloud coming, a little less clarity maybe coming, don't be afraid. Just let go of control. Let go of the need to hold the steering wheel of your car and go sit in the back seat and let the car drive itself. This is what you have to do. And this works very well. This car can drive very well by itself. It does not really need you. So surrender. Smile. Smile. Believe. Believe. Then it can most easily happen. I say that a lot. In meditation there should be a little bit of a smile. Nothing too stressed, of course, because that's not good. But a little bit of a smile, a little bit of a gentleness, a little bit of a belief, a welcoming of the divine should be there. So, in that way, developing some faith also in that particular form of the divine, which you are addressing with the mantra, can be very helpful. Even though it is not very fashionable, because it is rather like a religious approach. But definitely, if you can chant inside Om Namah Shivaya, or whichever mantra. But in the case of Om Namah Shivaya, if you can chant it with love, for whatever Shiva represents for you, because anyhow, you can fill in the blanks. If you can have love for that principle, if you can have love for that divine power, then it will most easily. Because then you will have trust. You are asking, please, let me come, let me join you, let me be that mantra, let me disappear, let me completely surrender to you. So then that more easily happens. I can say that from my own personal experience, that it is that which made the big difference. The moment I could put aside my Western intellectual disagreement with the very idea of religion, at that moment my meditation started to really mean something. And I could really let go. So this is my experience, does not have to be everybody's experience, everybody can go wherever they want. But I can say, for me it made a big difference. Later on, once some Samadhi has been there, and you want more, then your desire for it will also be very helpful. Your desire to be further liberated, your desire to clean out this cellar, your desire to really stop this nonsense, to really be what you want to be, what you can be, what everybody can. That desire will definitely also help. In the beginning, desire and willpower are a little bit too much linked, so if you are there too much, like I want some Samadhi. It's not going to work. But once you're a little bit more involved in it, a little bit more experience in it, then the memory of it and the desire to again be there in that state of peace and bliss, which is Samadhi, will definitely help. What will also help, and is almost like a requirement, is a little bit more shanta in your life, a little bit more peace in your life. This is not always a requirement. Like the example is there of Eckhart Tolle, who got something which you could call Samadhi because he was so depressed and really wanted to stop. So there his very desire to really stop this nonsense was enough to make it happen. And he definitely was not feeling very peaceful at that time. He was desperate for peace. That's a different thing. But for most people who are maybe not such a bad state as he was at that time, then making a little bit more peace in your life, not having too many ambitions elsewhere, in your work, in your partnerships, in your relationships and all that, certainly makes it more easy to reach Samadhi. Then you can be more focused there. Then you can try from morning till evening to keep some measure of peace inside, so that when you are going to sit and meditate, you are not first trying to get rid of all the nonsense of the day. There will not have been so much nonsense, so you will easily go into peace. So this is definitely also something, if you really want it and it's not working so much, then maybe first clean up the mess in your life, and make sure everything is okay. It will be more peaceful to do it. It's not easy to do it if you know that you also have a lot of other duties. Neglected duties may be waiting for you. Duty always comes before sadhana. This should be very well understood. Otherwise, what's the use? What is also very helpful are some places, some spiritual hotspots, you could say, where this particular energy is there in such a way that it can really help you. So in that sense, visiting holy places like temples or some caves or things that have some good image, some good name in that, may be useful. And this is definitely also, I can say from my own experience, some places really make a huge difference. And they don't have to be really like very big temples. The main thing is that some good practice, some good sadhana happened there in the past, or is still happening there at the moment. That will be very, very good. And likewise, of course, the best place to reach Samadhi is near a saint, near a yogi who is already so much advanced that his energy field will bring peace the moment you come there. These are quite strange people in a way. You may be quite disturbed, quite unhappy. You go to them, you have a million questions, you sit down, and after 5 minutes you don't know what to say and you're perfectly alright. These kind of people are ideal if you want to reach deep states of meditation. And if you can have the privilege to follow them a little bit and maybe, meditate together with them in the morning or things like that, definitely this is the very, very best thing to do. But even if you can just get a little talk, like very often happens with a group of people, you go to visit some person like that, maybe for 1 hour. Then let the other people do the talking and close your eyes and don't listen to whatever is being said, but try to meditate. This is a much, much better way to spend that 1 hour in the nearby such a person, rather than just some intellectual game, asking questions, showing off what you already know. This is much less and less useful. Another thing which is relevant is the particular quality of the object on which you are meditating. Like I'm always talking about meditating on a mantra, but well, God is everywhere, so you could also meditate on a trash can, and ultimately that will also lead you to God. But the impact of meditating on something like a trash can will be much less useful than the impact of a mantra, which has been particularly chosen, I have explained this before, for the impact that the sound has on your energy body, and which will help to bring peace and to bring samadhi about. So also there, choosing a object of meditation which feels really good to you is the main thing, because there, of course, we are all different. So trying out a little bit of mantra or other things, and then finding something which really seems to enhance your peace easily and rapidly, usually means, okay, you have found something which works for you. And don't keep searching, for that one mantra for which only 5 minutes of meditation will bring you into samadhi. That's also no, good idea, because as far as I know, such a mantra does not exist. Every meditation needs some effort, no? But you might, zap around a little bit until you find something which really works for you, and then go for it. And then really only stick to that. Really create this neural pattern in your brain so that the meditation becomes more and more easy, and you can really reach dhyana where the meditation becomes stable, and then all you have to do is continue and samadhi will come. So the object is important, and it is also quite clearly said that to go for an object with form will bring you further more easily than to go for an object without form. This is called saguna and niguna. Guna means quality, form, color, shape, whatever. So saguna means with form, nirguna means without form. And in the West, of course, we don't so much like all these deities and forms. So we prefer to meditate maybe on timelessness or inner space or cosmic consciousness, or the silence behind all sound. Abstract things like that. And I am not saying it cannot work. That is also not what Scripture is saying. But Scripture is saying quite clearly that to go from an object with form towards then an object with less form or without form is the way to go. And this will become more clear as I start explaining the different phases that are there in samadhi. Because in the first phase of samadhi, you need the form. You need some form. You need something which mind can hold on to, which has some shape, some color, some form. Otherwise, you will again fall out of it. This mind works with shapes and colors and forms. It is very much related to our senses. So if you cannot engage mind in such a way, it will become very difficult. As I said, samadhi is something everybody can reach. Like enlightenment, I cannot say everybody can reach in this life. Maybe yes, if you want, it's there for everybody. Anyhow, we are all very enlightened, we just don't know it, right? So, but enlightenment anyhow, as I explained, with all these things having to be cleaned up in between here and there, it takes a while. But Samadhi is not so difficult. No? So this should be well understood. And fortunately also, there is something in Samadhi that you might call beginner's luck. And I have experienced it myself with somebody, a young man who had never meditated before. And with some friends, we were going to meditate in a particular place, a particular cave. And so he was joining us. So just before we were there, I explained to him what to do, and I gave him a mala and said, okay, you do Om Namah Shivaya, because he knew that mantra already. It's very well known in India. He was an Indian guy. And so he just was sitting there doing it. It was pitch dark. Nobody was making any sound, and he tried. He stayed there for 4 hours. He just did it. Somehow, and this is the beginner's luck, and this actually is because you don't know what you are expecting, you don't know what to expect, you don't really know what to do, you're just trying to stick to the mantra, and then it just happens. No? So as I said, don't try too much to get it, because then you won't get it. Don't think about it, definitely, because then, you're just beside the point. Just do the mantra and it will come. No? So this beginner's luck is there, but this only is in the beginning, then once or maybe twice, that it comes without actually a lot of effort. But at that time, you know what it is. So the third time, maybe you are again trying to get it and it will not come because you are waiting for it. You are too much on the lookout for it. You want to try to make it happen and you cannot try to make it happen. It has to happen by itself. So then you may need longer time. Then you may need between that first time or maybe first and second time and the next time, you may need a year. You may need 3 years of really learning more to focus and to meditate and so on until you can actually do it. I mean, doing it is never there, but you can say, okay, I have 3 hours, I'll sit down and chances that I get into Samadhi are pretty good. No? So, because that's, at some point it is like that. Okay, if I have the time to do it, then okay, it will come. It will come. Like Harish Johari, my teacher, he could very easily say, okay, you want to see Samadhi? Wait 5 minutes. He would do it like that very easily. And so that is a little bit what happens. And definitely also in the beginning, there is a going in and out of Samadhi. Like you're tasting it a little bit, but you're falling out of it. And then, don't think about what happened. Don't interpret it. There's nothing to interpret it. You are beyond words. So what are you going to think about it, right? So just return to the mantra. When it happens, very good. Return to the mantra. Then it can happen again. Right? So that's what you have to do. Not more you can do. Just always return to the mantra. Whenever you are realizing that something happened except the mantra, then go for the mantra. Whether it was a thought or whether it was something else, something a little bit more mystical maybe, doesn't matter. Go back to the mantra. That's the only way you can move forward. So and then we come to this story about the different phases that are there in Samadhi. And the people who have had the class on the koshas will more easily understand this. The koshas are the different layers of our being. You could also say the different bodies that we have. And actually in Samadhi what happens is that your consciousness withdraws from the more gross physical body up to the most subtle of bodies, which is the Anandamaya Kosh, the body of bliss, where the self resides. But so in between these two, there is, after the physical body, the energetic body, where also your emotions are happening. Then there is the mental body, where are all your conscious thoughts. Then there is the subconscious mind, also you could say the body of knowledge or the body of memory, and where the ego resides as the most essential concept. And then so there is the body of bliss where the self resides. So gradually your consciousness is going to withdraw in Samadhi towards the center. So the first thing that has to go from your consciousness is the physical body. And that is why in Samadhi you need some stable posture. If then you are not sitting in a stable way, you are going to fall. Because you are no longer aware of it. And if you really lose your awareness of your body, then all the muscles of your body will become relaxed, will no longer be stiff, will no longer hold you. So then your posture actually must hold you. So before you reach Samadhi, it is quite good to sit nice and straight so that the energy can move up to the sixth chakra, right, through the spine. But then once you move into Samadhi, the body will go like this. It will just hang into the posture. And of course, if you are very strong and muscular, maybe it will hang a little bit less. And if you are not so strong and muscular, it might actually hang quite a lot. But no matter at that time, the energy is where it has to go. But if you fall, then of course you are going to wake up, let's say, from your Samadhi, and the Samadhi will be empty. So this is the first thing that happens. The second thing is then that your breathing stops gradually. Slows down at least to a very, very low rate. Also the heartbeat is reduced to a very, very low rate. And your feeling will become very subtle. Feeling is not only there in the pranic body. That is where you could say the more gross kinds of feelings are what we might call emotions. But the other more subtle bodies also still have prana, also still have energy. So there also some feeling is there, but this feeling is much more subtle. So this will also happen. And so then you are entirely focused inside your mental body. You are, you could say, a little bit living in a dream. That then, if you keep to your object, also will disappear. Because you're not allowing any other thoughts coming in between. Not so much consciously in a way, You're just in that trance, you're just in that mantra, you are that mantra, so you're not doing anything else. Then you move in your subconscious mind. And then to the body of bliss. And mostly one can say that when Samadhi happens, quite rapidly, you will move inside to the most subtle of subtle bodies. But for most people, you will also move very rapidly again out of it. And mostly, you will be drawn back out of it because of your other bodies. So maybe it is your physical body which will draw you out because you fall down. Or maybe it is becoming very painful. Or maybe it is your energy body where there is still too much fluctuation of solar, lunar and other energies which is drawing you out. Maybe it is your mental body which is drawing you out because it is still not calm enough and, wants to think and doesn't want to stop thinking and, find some excuse to think. Or maybe it is then your subconscious mind. And so, as you evolve in Samadhi, these, let's say, little problems of the body and the energy and the mental will go, because largely you have been taking care of that before reaching Samadhi. You have learned to sit, you have learned this slow breathing, you have learned to quiet down mind. So this should already be more or less mastered. But then, as I said, you are jumping or diving into your subconscious mind, and there a lot will come out. Then two things are happening. One thing which is happening, you could say, is on the outer side of your subconscious mind, where you are encountering these memories of this life and past lives. These come as a kind of dreams, you could say, but really more like visions. If you are in a dream state, then actually you will see that what you are seeing in your dream is having a circular form, and what comes around is like a foggy thing. And even usually the dream itself is relatively foggy. In Samadhi, a vision is very different. A vision is extremely wide. It's like more wide than you can imagine. It is more wide than you can see with your eyes. It is like you can see like all around. And so visions like that come in the sense that you will really have the feeling maybe you are standing on top of a mountain. And you will not just see like some valley in front of you. You will really have this experience that you are standing on top of a mountain. So this is then maybe a nice experience. No? But you might also experience maybe something else. Maybe you really are, killing somebody. Or being killed by somebody. Or something else which is not so pleasant. Maybe somebody is very angry with you. Or things like that. They can come. Now, if at that point you are going to take it seriously, then you're going to drop out of your samadhi. If you're really going to think, oh, somebody is trying to kill me, then you're going to start running, right? So you're going to fall out, your mind will start working, trying to find a solution for this problem, and you will get out of your samadhi. And I think most people have some experience like that in the beginning. The main thing to learn there is to keep quiet, just see this vision, but keep the witness, stay in the Anandamaya Kosh, stay with the self, stay with the peace that you have definitely found there, and just let this go. And that is also what it will do. The moment you are not interfering, the moment you are really like taking it seriously, it will dissolve, it will go. And then again you will be there in your peace. And then maybe later some new scenery comes, and again it goes. And so this is this process of cleaning. Once you have done that, then this vision will not come back. This particular vision will not come back. But if you are freaking out on it, then definitely it will come back. Because then you will have strengthened it. It's just a memory. However bad it was, whatever happened there, and you don't even know for sure it happened. It may be just like an imagination also. Mind does strange things in Samadhi. So, but even if it was real, it happened such a long time ago, what are you going to do about it? So you just should not get involved with it and keep a distance. And if not, okay. Then it will just keep annoying you. Likewise, you will meet certain desires. Like you will have again some vision, and you will fall in love with it. And you will want it. Like maybe you can have the desire for a partner and children or something, and really like have a vision of that, and want that. Or maybe, like I personally had, you have the vision that you are jumping out of an airplane with a parachute, and you really want to do that, which was really a strange thing. And I still want to do that. So, some of the things that you are witnessing there, you may again try to keep a distance, not go into it, and then it will disappear. But if it comes back and back and back, and you think, okay, it's not a bad idea to once, do this jump, then why not do it? So then some things in your life you may start doing. And of course, this jumping out of an airplane, that's just for fun. But having children and, loving family and all that, that's not just for fun. That's something you really want. That's something which is beautiful and worthwhile pursuing. And so then it is something you should do. So if things like that come back, then okay, you can continue on the path of yoga, you can continue to meditate, you can continue to go into samadhi, but also maybe, keep an eye out for any opportunity to realize those dreams, to realize those desires. Because, why not? And otherwise they will just keep coming back. So, that is the one thing which happens. This is what we can call the karmic visions. Other visions also come, which are more to do with the core of the body of knowledge, which is then also called buddhi, the cosmic intellect. There you are also witnessing some things, maybe of a more abstract nature, and you are gaining a certain deep understanding of some things. So there you are learning more. The basic things actually that you find then in yoga books also, about everything really being all one, for example, and other things like that, and more specific also about how different kind of energies exist and have certain impact and how to work with that and so on. So a lot of learning then also happens there in deep samadhi. And this is particularly also where spirits can help you. Higher beings with subtle bodies can there very much help you. In a way, when you are moving away from the physical body and the energy body and the mental body into the subconscious mind, you are at the same time also moving a little bit like in other dimensions. Astral traveling, they call it these days or something, but this is what then also happens. So then you can actually meet certain people, certain beings that can be of help for you, that can teach you. And definitely if you've had a teacher and this teacher is no more, then in your samadhi you can still meet him and he can still teach you. Which is actually also true in regular dreams. So that is a little bit then the game which is there in samadhi, where you are learning things and letting things go, dropping more and more of your waste from your cellar, bringing it out, recycling it, getting rid of it. And important to understand is that while this movement goes on from, let's say, outside to really inside, that also your object of your meditation will change. So, while you are still in the mental body, this object will be more concrete. Like if you are meditating on Lord Ganesh, then you will really meditate on some form with an elephant head and all these things. But when you then move into the subconscious mind, then you will change this object. This elephant head will go, and you will be more focused on the name and on the particular essential meaning of Ganesh. You will go to a more abstract Ganesh. You will more go from Sagun to Nirgun. And that is what I was saying before. If you try to start with Nirgun, okay, very good, but you better be good. Because you're going to make a jump, right? You're going to want to jump immediately into that subconscious mind, where actually it is more easy to start with something with more form, so that the jump is not so far. You only have to jump into your conscious mind. And then gradually and quite by itself this will happen. And in between those layers, there is what they call asamprajnat. Actually, in those layers there is samprajnat, which means that there is understanding, there is clarity. But in between those layers there is asamprashnat, which means that there is like a little bit of a fog. So when you enter into samadhi, there is a little bit like an emptiness, like a fog, like a cloudiness. And you just have to kind of push through it. And then a new universe sort of opens. And a new layer is discovered, and a new kind of reality is discovered. And then more and more and more again, the mantra, whatever is used. And then again, there is a moment of fogginess. And just walk through it. And then again, new clarity comes. And new learning comes. And new seeing comes. So this is how you actually move in samadhi. So no problem to experience a little bit of fog. I can only describe it really like that. Just know that there is something beyond this wall. Know that there is a beyond. Know that you just go forward, dive into it, seek the end of it, because there is an end of it. It's just a wall, and you just go through it. So that is also what happens. And then before you can actually withdraw even from the energy of Anandamaya Kosh, the most subtle energy, and really merge in this pure consciousness, there is also a big void. I wouldn't even call it a fog. It's a big void. It's called Nirodha. And so that also is something you have to pass, which is not so easy. Especially not if you still have a lot of things calling you back, from behind, asking for your attention. Then this is not so easy. To do it, you first really need to clean out the mess. Then it becomes possible. Then the only way is forward. And what is then said is that at that time, the consciousness, the self, will move into the corpus callosum, which is a Latin name for what the scriptures call the cave of the bumblebee, the hollow cave in between the two brain hemispheres. There is a place called the corpus callosum. So consciousness will move there, you could say, out of the brain. So there will be this void, and there it can find itself. There really it can be limited only to itself and have no more interference of the energy. This is just a little bit maybe a way to explain or understand what happens. As I say, when you are playing that game, you don't have so much use to all this understanding, right? Because that just takes you out. So, anyhow, as I said, this journey, it happens, but there's a lot of going back and forth. But whenever you really are a little bit in a quiet state, nothing much happening, then you will experience the self, Sat Chit Ananda. So you will know the basic truth, Sat. You will reside in pure being, Chit, and you will be in bliss called Ananda. And that is something unbelievable, unimaginable if you've never been there. It is extremely powerful experience. And definitely the most interesting thing happening in the whole process. All else is just like a waste of time, in a sense. And it's good to be aware of it. Because you can really get a little bit lost in this deeper understanding that is also to be gained there. You can really get a little bit lost in the possibilities that come to you there, in the powers that you can actually develop there. So I a little bit need to explain also about that. Patanjali calls it the impact of samyama on an object Now samyama, as I explained in the beginning, is like this dharan going to dhyan into samadhi. But actually when he uses it there, he defines it a little different, as egoless witnessing. Now egoless witnessing is something easily said but a little difficult to do, right? Because it goes quite beyond, the more gross forms of the ego. It really means to witness something without yourself being there, which means that you become this something. Like I said, you become the mantra. But once you are there in samadhi and you have learned how to become the mantra, then you can become something else also. So then you can, let's say, hear a bird sing and become that song and become that bird and understand what he's singing about. It's a little difficult to understand, but that's just the explanation given there. If you can really witness something without you being there, then you are really becoming that something. And by becoming that something, you are understanding it. And you are being it, and you can do it, and you can change it. So also in that way, for example, many of the magical powers that are coming are related to witnessing of prana. Prana is a great mover, is the prime energy of everything. So once the technique, you could say, of samyama, of this completely egoless witnessing of things, can be attributed to prana, then you can do a lot of things. Then flying is really an option without airplane or parachute. So that's another aspect of the story, really, right? So, and many other things become possible. So, for example, reading another person's mind exactly is the same thing. You can read another person's mind quite simply by not having a mind of your own. And directing your will to it, directing your energy to it, directing your being to it, becoming the thought of that person, and you will know the thought of that person. And if you direct that knowing to the future, then you will know the future. And if you direct that knowing to the past, you will know the past. And so in this way, all these magical things become a little bit more easy to understand, although of course we call them magical because they are very difficult to understand. So I'm not saying this way we can understand them, but a little bit we can have an idea where all that comes from. But of course all this is just a game, right? It's another trap. We already have airplanes. Why do you want to fly? You already have a lot of things going on in your own mind. Why do you want to read anybody else's mind? No? It's only ego. So it's just another trap. And don't underestimate this trap. It's already very difficult not to have a big ego, even though you are just a normal person. If you become like a super normal person with special powers, it's a lot more difficult not to develop any ego, of course. Not to get attached to that. And then definitely if you think that having these special powers is going to be useful to help everybody. That's maybe the biggest trap of all. Because there also, of course, if you are using the same power of seeing, of egoless seeing on things like disease, on prana, on healing with prana and so on, you will learn a lot of things. You will become a great healer. And I'm not saying that is a little bad or something, but I'm just saying it's another hang-up. It's another attachment. It's another job also. Right now you may be thinking, oh, he's talking about samadhi, but I really don't have the time to meditate more than half an hour a day because I already have so much to do. So, but if you are becoming a fantastic healer, then you're going to have a big queue in front of your house of people who need your attention, and then, how are you going to move forward in your samadhi? So, you have to understand this, that there's a lot to learn there, and I'm not saying you should not learn it. I mean, if you can find amusement in learning about, I don't know, history or something by reading a book, then why not find amusement in these things? That's also nothing wrong. But you have to understand that all this is the same as everything else. It'll be like fun for a while, and then after a while it just becomes bored, like everything else. So don't get like too attached to it. And I must say that my teacher Hari Johari was very, very like strict on that, and definitely he had developed many powers, but he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want anybody to know about it, and he would use them as little as possible, only when he felt he had no other alternative, because it was quite basically his dharma to use it. If something is needed and you can offer it, then it is your dharma to offer it. So that he would definitely do, but he would try as much as possible. Nobody would know, and definitely did not want to explain much about it, or certainly not advertise it. Right. So this is a little bit how I was, you could say, raised in this subject. The main thing you are going after in Samadhi is, as I said before, to achieve this peace and bliss, this state of being a perfect human, state of being really in control of what you are doing, the state in which the layers of your being become transparent and are not blocking the light that is there within each one of you in the same way in everybody. It is only these layers which are different in everybody. And by cleaning out these layers, and especially the subconscious mind, you want to a little bit let this happen. Because anyhow it is your like natural goal. And this is the only thing which really will bring you fulfillment. All the other things will not so much bring you any fulfillment. So the power of samyama, this egoless observing, this egoless seeing, is best to direct it again towards the goal, which is the self. Do not forget why you started this. To really continue to focus on your innermost being and reach it there. And anyhow, that's also what my teacher used to say. If you are interested in these powers anyhow, then not being interested in them will be the fastest way to develop. So this is also a little trick maybe, that once you really, really go deep there, then all these things just come. You don't really have to look for them consciously. Then maybe another thing to say about Samadhi is that there is a term called Sahaja Samadhi, which can be translated as natural Samadhi. It's a little bit a difficult terminology because it actually means that you are in Samadhi while you are actually walking around, talking, eating, and all these things. So your Samadhi has become natural. And okay, I have no problem with it in the sense that it just means that while doing all these things, you are principally still absorbed in the self. You are principally still in this trance. But of course, you are not completely in this trance. You know what you are doing. You eat whenever you are hungry and go to sleep, when it's time. So this is a little bit different than the real Samadhi, the way it is defined. But still, it is what comes after some time. After some time, this main focus is inside. And whatever is happening outside is just happening, and you're barely actually putting any effort into it, barely really trying anything there, just doing that which comes naturally without thinking about it. You could say, phone line from inside to outside is, there. And there's no lots of, other wiring and things disturbing the signal. It's just like a direct living out of the self, out of the divine being that you really are. So then there is this process of, let's say, multiple samadhis, living in sahaja samadhi, even when you are, like, let's say, outside of meditation. And this eventually then leads to true liberation or enlightenment, moksha. There is still two things actually there. Kaivalya, liberation, is something which happens. It's the final thing which happens. The result of that which happens is moksha or enlightenment. This is not something which happens. This is something which then is discovered to have been there all the time, and which obviously also then stays there all the time, and is the only reality that then remains. And then there is still one other word which might be worth mentioning. This is called Mahasamadhi. Mahasamadhi actually means that such a person then may decide to leave his body. It is not a requirement. Don't have so much desire for this or that, so why would you do that? But maybe if the body is getting old and you feel, okay, I can do it, so why not take another one? Then these people can go into meditation and just die and leave through 7 chakra, through the count chakra. And then maybe they are not going to come back here, or maybe they are, who knows? They are free. They are the only ones who are truly free, so nobody can say that then they should do this or that. Once you're enlightened, there's no more obligations. So whatever you do, you do. Whatever you want, and there are many stories about that in scriptures, about people like that who then choose a new life with lots of fun and entertainment, while others maybe become like Dalai Lama or somebody, very helpful. Whichever they feel like doing, they are then free. You need a vehicle. You need some kind of thing which brings you further. And this is such an important thing to understand. Never wonder what to do in your meditation. Just continue. Never anything else to be done except the mantra, whatever is the object, but very often it is a mantra. Always, this is always the answer. Always, 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 always. Nothing else should be done. Always that. Continue with the mantra, and that takes you through all these fogs and gates, or whatever you want to call it, different planes. That is your car which takes you there. But as I said, for many people it is different again, so lots of things can happen. You can't make any conscious choices there. So the only thing you need to know is, how to get in. And whenever you are wondering what to do, it means you are on the verge at least of falling out. So then again, go back to the mantra. That's all you need to know. That's really all you need to remember from this class, really. It's like, just always go back to whatever got you there. Because the moment you are wondering what is happening, wondering what to do, then you are, dropping out. You are thinking. So back. Jump back. At some point you may have some experience, and you may ask yourself, was this Samadhi or not? And as I said, this is not a very important question, but still you will have it, so why not try to a little bit answer it? How can you know? Well, there's only one measure. It is your smile. You will smile. You will not want to talk about it. You will not really in the beginning wonder what happened. You will know what happened without putting words to it, and you will know that it really doesn't matter to put any words to it. That putting words to it will just, make it go away that much faster, whatever feeling you still have of it. So this is how you can know that you had Samadhi, and this effect will last at least for a couple of hours. At least. It can also last for a couple of days. It depends how deep it was and how big an experience it was. But hours definitely. I think for many people it stays until they then go to sleep. At some time, you have to go to sleep. And then they wake up in the morning and it is gone. That's very often. But it can also be that in the morning you are waking up with the same smile and you don't care really about anything and you are a little bit crazy. Like light. I mean, you don't think yourself crazy at that time, but other people may think so. And I remember my sister at some point, she was very worried about me. While I was actually in a much better state than she. But she did not see it. So, anyhow, this is how you can know. The impact will be there, and you will see it even after you come out of that, let's say, bliss. You will see that you are more easily finding peace, that you are more nice to other people, that you are less obsessed by things. All these changes also you will then find. But that also may again a little bit go. So the best way to know is what you feel when you come out of it. And at that moment you don't really feel so much the need to go back to answer your question. Because you still have that feeling. Only when that feeling goes, then the desire to go back can be very, very strong. Well, that's just the point. If you become attached to this vision, then your ego returns. And then you are coming out of Samadhi. So the trick is to stay with the self and to keep everything, at a distance. This is not you, this is just your memory. Which sometimes it's very appealing, sometimes it's very frightening. It's not that easy to not get involved. Anyhow, afterwards, all these things that you see there, best not think about it, unless maybe it comes back many, many times in Samadhi. And you may think about, maybe I can solve it by doing something in life. Like, one of the things which is probably the most difficult to get rid of is situations in which you are feeling guilt. Because when you feel that you have done something wrong, and you realize it through your Samadhi, then you may feel that you don't have the right to just let that go and say, okay, I was stupid. What to do? I'm not anymore. So I don't have to stay attached to it. But that may feel not right. You may feel like you have to compensate for it. So then maybe in your life you can help somebody. Not the person probably that you hurt in your past life, but you might help somebody else. And in that way feel that this is compensated and you can let go of this guilt. So some of that work is there. And some saints may really come out of Samadhi and say, oh, I've been given a task to maybe, set up a hospital or do something like that for humanity. And this is something like that. And they have given themselves this task. Or maybe in, communication with these spirits or other, beings that are helping them, they really have been giving the suggestion at least to do these things, to solve that guilt and get rid of it. That way clear out that part of their subconscious mind.